Well, a happy Monday to you, my movie peeps. Let's talk about the movie news. Some of the things we're going to be discussing here today, guys, is a confusing update with Matt Reeves as the Batman and how it ties into the DCU with James Gunn. We got yet more updates on Spider-Man 4. They just continue a chuckling, and the movie's being described as a Civil War film, along with some new details and tidbits with the new Planet of the Apes movie I found really interesting. That, along with so much more. So you guys know the drill. Please leave your opinions down below. Hit that like button, and if you can, subscribe. Please subscribe. But alright, kicking things off here, let's just get it out of the way. The elephant in the room, the Jonathan Majors situation. So obviously this is something that we've been following closely for months now. Ever since we heard the news that Jonathan Majors was accused of domestic violence towards his girlfriend, the lawyers promising this is all a misunderstanding and once they present the evidence to the judge, everything will be cleared up, but instead they went to trial. And that's what's been happening the past couple of weeks and months, us following this trial of Jonathan Majors, and the verdict came out today. The verdict did find Jonathan Majors guilty. Now, these are misdemeanor charges. There were 2 other charges he was found not guilty of. But a lot of Marvel fans, or even just fans of Jonathan Majors in general, were glued to this trial because they knew whatever outcome came from it, guilty or not guilty, it would determine his career in Hollywood. And only an hour or 2 after this verdict was released, Marvel responded. Jonathan Majors has now been officially fired from Marvel Studios and will no longer be part of any future MCU projects. Looking at the articles here that are being released, there's a lot of interesting information. For one, they imply that this is going to have major repercussions, obviously, to the future of the MCU because they were planning to have Jonathan Majors as their next big Thanos. And the article states that Avengers Kang Dynasty right now is not even called Avengers Kang Dynasty, that Marvel is just now referring it to as Avengers 5, meaning whatever plan they did have for Kang Dynasty, that is now out the window and we're not going to see whatever version of that movie was originally going to be. The article also mentions that there are 2 options on the table for Marvel right now. They either recast the role, get someone new to play Kang the Conqueror and kind of continue business as usual, or they put the Kang stuff away and focus on a new villain, and the articles do imply that maybe that's where Marvel would rather go with it, because even with the Jonathan Majors stuff aside, people were not that enthused with the Kang storyline and felt it didn't really feel like a Thanos threat. And look, yeah, you guys were quick to get in my comment sections, throw me mentions, wondering my opinion on this. For now, all I'll say is I don't want to get too much into my theories and speculation and get all nerd out because at the end of the day, this is someone who went to trial. There's a victim out there. They were found guilty. It just doesn't feel that appropriate. But what I will say on it is I am definitely disappointed. I had liked Jonathan Majors a lot as an actor, whether it was in Creed 3 or his variant roles in the MCU. He was set for a banging career, and now it's just disappointing to see someone that talented ruin their life like this. And if the jury found him guilty, I do think Marvel made the right choice of firing him. So yeah, I'm sure in a week or 2 we'll have scoopers talking about what the new plan is for Marvel, and then we can really dive into it there. For now, I was just kind of shocked to see Marvel respond that quickly and just make it official that everyone knows Kang is no longer part of the MCU's plans. Let me know your guys' opinion on this situation. Moving on here, we got one more kind of heavy-hitting story here. You guys know I've been following closely with the Scream 7 news just because that's one of my favorite horror movie franchises, and I was so looking forward to what could be happening in the next installment when then Spyglass decided to fire Melissa Barrera and Jenna Ortega also followed suit, making me care a lot less about this movie. Well, over the weekend, we got a small update here that reads, report, Melissa Barrera rejects Spyglass's effort to make peace after backlash for firing her from Scream 7. In the details out of the article, they have it here that according to a new report by Critical Overlord, Spyglass Media has made an attempt to make peace with the actress, the 33-year-old allegedly sought after by the studio in an attempt to repair the broken bond that extended between her and Spyglass after the firing incident became public knowledge. And basically what's happening here is they were saying that Spyglass saw the backlash online, the giant roar Scream fans made. Like, I saw 99% support about Melissa Barrera and 1% people just trolling. Scream fans are passionate ones, and it made its way to Spyglass where it looks like they were willing to sit down with her, but it looks like part of those terms were going to include Melissa Barrera to recant her statement, take back everything she said. Melissa Barrera basically said F you and is continuing moving on with her career, and she's got other projects lined up. She's looking to be doing just fine. And the main reason I wanted to bring this up is just, you know, finally cut that one little hope I had that maybe all this misunderstanding could have been repaired, that we could still have our whole Scream 7 movie, complete that trilogy and arc the way it was originally intended to, but that hope is now completely gone. Melissa's not coming back. Jen Ortega's for sure not coming back. There's rumors Neve Campbell doesn't even want to be part of the movie with all this negativity. I think Matthew Lillard did say he'd be down for it depending on what the story is, but the man's gonna be busy with Five Nights at Freddy's. I don't know if he really needs to come back to Scream right now. And I should also say, for anyone wondering if these reports are even accurate, Melissa Barrera's mother was retweeting and sharing the articles online, so that lends me some credibility to this because, again, no major outlets are reporting this. Still, though, it's the closest thing we're getting to a Scream 7 update. But even with that, I'm still of the camp that Scream 7 could very likely just not even happen. That they could take a couple year break, hope all of this blows over, and then maybe just reboot the franchise. Because right now, with like none of your legacy or returning characters wanting to be part of it, it's like, what do you do? So we'll see, but that's the latest update with Scream 7. What do you guys think about this? Moving on here now to just some movie news where we can just bro out, eat popcorn, and get silly with, let's jump on to Planet of the Apes. So Empire a few days ago dropped an article detailing some new information about the new Planet of the Apes movie titled Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes that, you know what, I'm really looking forward to. That trailer I thought was nice, and this clears up a bit of the timeline and confusion of what's going on. We know this franchise is a continuation of the last 3 Planet of the Apes movies that we got, 2 of them directed by Matt Reeves, but we just didn't know how soon after that trilogy this was happening. Was it 10 years later, 5 years later? Oh boy, it is 300 years later. The article lets us know that the main character of the movie, Noah, is actually an ape who is unaware of his legacy and connection to Caesar. He in fact doesn't even know who Caesar is. I did see that kind of piss off some people online, but again, this is 300 years later. People have trouble remembering and recanting things in our history that happened 300 years later, and we got the internet and computers. I don't think the apes have invented the internet yet, because I didn't see any monkeys twerking on TikTok in that trailer, although I'd pay to see that. Still though, Caesar's legacy is not completely lost because the article does mention that the villain of the film that is named Proximus, he and his tribe are in remembrance of Caesar, but they use Caesar's name and legacy in a way to kind of build themselves up. Specifically, they say here, Caesar is almost a religious figure, and Proximus has taken on the name Caesar because it was the highest position held in ape society. It was a self-proclamation that was achieved by any means necessary to ensure that apes continue to evolve, so you're seeing the influence and evolution of what Caesar left. And like in every morsel of human history, there's always some type of tyrant who comes along and scares everyone into believing them. You know what? We were all really scared that without Matt Reeves there, and maybe this now being under Disney's banner since they own Fox and the ape characters, that it just would not feel the same. It wouldn't have the same emotional or dramatic impact that the last 2 movies really had. But a storyline like this, where our main character comes to learn about his legacy connection to Caesar and what this other tribe is doing with that name, treating it almost like a religious figure and abusing that, I'm like, I really like the direction of this. They're also hoping that this spans out to more sequels, which duh. But yeah, all this right here sounds great to me, and it only excites me more for Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. But I throw it off to you guys. You hear these new details about the timeline and where they're headed with things. Do you like it? Do you not like it? Love to know. Moving on here, we got some updates from James Gunn over the weekend that really confused a lot of DC fans, and I don't blame them. Let me go through all the information and statements by James Gunn, then we'll dissect it a little further here. So this all started when a fan on Threads asked James Gunn, "Sir, could you tell me if Matt is producing another Batverse project other than the Batman 2, Penguin, and Arkham?" Having James Gunn respond, "Right now, Matt is producing Arkham as a DCU series, so there's just 2 for now." And that right there, we were like, excuse me, what? Matt Reeves is producing the Arkham Asylum show for the DCU, which we already know is confirmed to be completely separate from the Batman universe because they got a Batman movie in the works, Batman Brave and the Bold. James Gunn and Matt Reeves even had a meeting where they sat down and told each other their plans for their separate universes so that they didn't end up doing the same thing. And now you're telling us Matt Reeves' Arkham show that was announced before James Gunn even came into the DC universe universe. Okay, let's see if James Gunn clarifies this for us. So obviously fans were confused and hit him with, sorry, is the Arkham show set in the DCU? James Gunn says, yes, we love Matt as director and producer, so he'll be producing stories both within the Batman universe and within the DCU, which again, maybe didn't completely clarify things, but at least now we know Matt Reeves is the Batman, Robert Pattinson, yes, those are still separate universe things, but now Matt Reeves is dipping his toes in both worlds. What? Okay, so let's back up a little bit here and look at the context of things. So whenever Matt Reeves was building out his Batman universe, we knew there were plans for other shows. At one point, this Arkham show was actually the Gotham PD show. You guys might remember we talked about that, where it was going to be about the Gotham Police Department in the first couple years that Batman was out there and their point of view, seeing Batman take down criminals and do all this stuff in Gotham. It sounded like a cool idea for a show, but for whatever reason, they scrapped that idea. Then we heard instead they decided to do an Arkham Asylum show that was possibly also a secret Joker show. It also seemed like a good way to explain other villains Batman has fought and entangled with in the universe that we didn't get to see, but now we're hearing, no, this show is not even set in Matt Reeves' universe and instead is going to be in the DCU. And what's even weird though, it says here in an article that broke it down saying Gunn further clarified that the Arkham series was always planned to be set in the DCU and not part of Elseworld where the Batman universe takes place. So maybe there was just always a misunderstanding here, but I could have sworn seeing interviews that Matt Reeves mentioned that Arkham show was part of his universe, but James Gunn is saying here that it was always planned to be its own separate thing, and I mean, there is some context to that. I mean, Matt Reeves has a cartoon, the Batman Cape Crusader, he's producing that's not part of his universe, so maybe he was already just on this train of producing multiple Batman content, even if it wasn't within his world. So now, understanding that, fine, the Batman universe is still remaining separate, and the DCU is going to have an Arkham Asylum show come up, that's kind of exciting, because we know whenever it comes time for the DCU to introduce their Batman, it's gonna be a Batman with some history. This is a Batman who's about to meet his kid, Damian Wayne Robin, and usually when Batman gets to that point in his career, he's had at least 7-10 years onto the job. The Arkham Asylum show could be a great way to showcase the previous villains, their encounters with Batman, how they ended up in there, flesh out the Gotham world. So I'm down for that idea, even more that Matt Reeves will be alongside producing it. It was just weird having that confusion there for a second, but throw it off to you guys. Matt Reeves is going to produce an Arkham Asylum series for James Gunn's DC universe. Does it make you wonder why he didn't just let Robert Pattinson's Batman join James Gunn's world? Because apparently James Gunn tried and Matt Reeves didn't want that. Alright, now bringing us here to talk about some Spider-Man 4. The Spider-Man 4 news has just been non-stop and it only gets juicier. So this bit of news is coming to us from Cryptic HG Quality, who's become a recent reliable scooper. They say here, honestly, can't wait for this film to be honest. I know things aren't really set up and in motion, but it was described to me to be a street-level Civil War. He elaborates a little further by quote tweeting saying, when I say Civil War, I mean the layout, but street level. Any major Avenger edition might end up being minor, though as of right now, it's unclear to me what roles they'd play. Ant-Man, for instance. That's kind of unexpected, but it does make sense with a lot of the other things we've been hearing with this. Alex P. from the Cosmic Circus, a reliable outlet that's gotten information right, kind of describes this movie for us, going with Kingpin, as the mayor of New York, put into effect a law that outlaws vigilantism, targeting heroes like Spider-Man and Daredevil, among others, and establishes a bounty hunt for these heroes where several villains pop up for their shot at taking down Spidey and Daredevil. And that right there is kind of what they meant by a street-level Civil War. So it's not that we're going to see heroes and heroes against each other like Daredevil and Spider-Man fight each other, although maybe that does happen. But it looks more like the good guy street level heroes of New York, where it's Spider-Man, Daredevil, heck, maybe even Punisher. I saw some people throw in the name Kate Bishop since she's in New York. They begin to get attacked by villains like maybe Scorpion or Vulture if they do ignore the Morbius thing. And even though these are straight up villains, they're seen as almost the good guys by Kingpin because they're enforcing the law of not letting these vigilantes run amok and are just trying to collect a bounty. That's kind of a cool, crazy idea and makes sense now why they describe it as a civil war. Because it's a battle between two sides that are all in cause because of a new law put in place. But the other thing that was being described with Spider-Man 4 that had me really piqued was they continue to say Peter is already a leader in Spider-Man 4, and he's very, very, very essential to the MCU's future. There's a lot that just centers around Spider-Man, and I can't wait to see it all. That's other things that we've just been hearing nonstop about Tom Holland's Spider-Man. It's like all those Spider-Man fans right now are just desperately wanting a street-level, kind of lower stakes, classic Spider-Man story. Marvel just has big plans for Tom Holland. They know. They lost their Iron Man. They lost their Chris Evans Captain America. Chadwick Boseman, unfortunately, isn't with us anymore. Like, a lot of the people that fans were willing to pay big money to, they're just not around in the MCU, and a lot of their movies have been flopping. Spider-Man is like their last big cash money grab, and they're planning to make him front and center. I remember there was rumors that Kang Dynasty, or whatever it ends up being now, movies like that, Spider-Man is like the front and center main character of those storylines. So we'll see. It's always funny to see a character that we incorporate as just being a street level simple hero, but his popularity is just too huge to keep him as a small little bug. He's got to be playing always with the big boys now. Let me know your guys' speculation and theories involving all this Spider-Man 4 stuff, because it definitely is piquing my interest. But that is all movie news we currently have going on right now, guys. I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to watch me talk some movie news. Don't be forgetting to hit that like button, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.